All right, TJ, thanks for allowing me to be one of the stops on your world tour for the 85th anniversary Batman set.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So you are comic guy,
Something like
not
that.
Simpsons comic guy,
No, none
but
of
like
us want to be him.
upper deck comic book guy.
Yes,
That's exciting. I mean, I know Grant is a massive comic book guy. He's a nerd's
sure.
nerd. I say that with love, Grant, if you're watching this.
Yes.
And I am a big hockey fan, so I a lot of appreciation for Billy, Tony, but it's exciting to have with the launch of the DC license to know that there is somebody well versed, specifically in DC, from what I can tell. I think I saw a
Oh yeah.
large robin on your arm.
Yes, there's a Robin and a Starman on my arm. So,
So,
yes.
oh, okay, that's right. That's right. We did touch base a little bit in DCCW, the
Yep.
DC Facebook group. I think that's probably my favorite story, top five favorite storyline of all time is the
Oh,
Starman with the Tony Harris James Robinson
same
combo.
here. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
Billy previously asked me who my favorite villain was, and I that's hard.
Because you
Oh,
want to
that's
say the shade
yes.
and you can't. Spoiler alert. You can say culp.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
but
it's one of my favorite books of all time. So, there's so much potential for that down the road, which is great.
so what's your history in comics?
I've been reading comic books since I was, a little kid. I mean, I've loved superheroes since I was a little kid. Been reading comic books since I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. Really started collecting by about 10, 11 years old, collecting comic books, trading cards, all that. I managed one of the more prolific New York City comic book stores for about 10 years. Then I moved out to
Wow.
San Diego. I worked for one of the publishers for about 4 years, ran an art gallery for them and done a bunch of stuff along the way. I was an Eisner Awards judge in 2023, and now
Oh
I'm here.
wow, no kidding. Okay, so you are not casual.
No, this is what I love, and getting to work on these characters the way we're doing it here at Upper Deck. I mean, everybody who's ever heard me talk about it, and then even in the last two Batman weeklies that we've done, I always say that this is a dream come true, but like it actually is.
Yeah, yeah. So we are here to talk about the Batman Weekly series. It's an EPAC exclusive release. So if anybody isn't familiar with EPAC, I think at this point a lot of people are, but I do really still have a lot of people who think it's digital cards only. They don't know. It's upperdeckepac.com, I believe.
That's
I go
correct.
there so frequently that I should know that by heart. And these are physical cards.
Yes, that is correct.
So I am a huge EPAC fan. I am massively hooked on not only I think what you guys refer to as stacking, the combining of the cards for achievement
Yeah.
cards, but the achievement chase itself. And you guys have worked the achievement chase into this weekly release.
It's so funny because there are a lot of people who have kind of a preconceived notion of what Upper Deck EPAC is, and much like when there were digital comics happening, there was this fear that it was designed to replace physical,
Yeah.
and we're collectors, so nothing will ever replace physical. Physical is everything, and it's the only way that collectors really feel like they have something. This is just another way to get that physical thing. It's a different way to collect, but it's also another way to bring more people to the table. And I think what we've done with EPAC is, I think it's extraordinary.
I think it's unmatched.
Hmm.
I mean there are people who are able to collect and participate in the community in a way that without it they would not be able to because not everyone has a local shop.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it would be great, but and it also gives us a way to like at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep. Oh, let me just buy a box of something.
Let me rip open some packs online. Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess that's the downside sometimes, but
Downside.
yeah, downside. We'll put it in air quotes. All right, so we are on the third week, and I am absolutely going to flatter myself because I feel like Upper Deck gave me the week of weeks.
Ooh, that's a pretty
As
good one.
as far as although I did love week one, I wanted to thank you. I do have some in hand.
Oh,
This
there.
cover,
Did you choose Batman 587?
yes,
Well done.
my favorite out of all of those. Love
That is
that.
one of my favorite Batman covers of all time. So I was really glad I was able to get that approved for that.
Oh, that's a question I want to ask you.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me put a pin in that
Sure.
till the end, because I'm gonna. Otherwise, I am like the tangent queen, and we will end up talking about 50 other things. Okay, so week 3, the theme is.
Rogues Gallery.
Oh,
So
I'm
good.
so excited. That's why I feel like this is the week of weeks. I think there are people who would probably argue that the villains are what make the bat.
Sure. I,
I
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that.
I think the right writer could, we could just do like a whole mafia series, kind of like street level, but he really is iconic in large because of his rogues gallery.
Absolutely. There are only two other, maybe three other heroes that I would say have a group of villains as good as Batman's. And so it's a very small company to have villains that are not just as iconic, but maybe kind of transcend their hero the way Batman's villains do.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious who your others are.
Ooh, one I'll mention on here is the Flash.
Okay.
There's another one we'll mention when this isn't live.
Got you. Okay. So how did you Okay, so this is like an embarrassment of riches though. We only have 10
Oh yeah.
cards to work with for this week. So how do you narrow that down?
So that was a little difficult because whenever I build a checklist, one of the things that I'm really known for in all of my checklists, whether the upcoming DC stuff and then stuff I've worked on previously, is I love hitting all of the A list, but I also love getting deep. I love going into the deep cut characters. There were characters that I was known for putting in the previous projects that we had worked on, and I'm looking forward to the DC stuff getting to do that with certain heroes and villains as well. But with Batman, it's hard because you can say, "Oh, I love the Condiment King," or you can say, "I love Zaz," or you can say,
Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
"There you go." You could say, "I love Crazy Quilt," but are they going to make it in a set that is just 10? You
Right.
know? So we went into this very specifically. Who are the ones that stand the test of time, which is a big thing for me? Who's classic? Who is timeless? Who is that character where if you've never even read a comic book, you can go, oh, I know who this character is. And so that made it easy to choose the characters on this list. But what made it even easier, and then me as an art fan, as someone who loves, comic book art, and very specific comic book artists, it made it easier when we decided we were going to go with all artwork from one specific artist, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a moment.
Yes, you guys picked who I would consider an iconic DC cover artist.
Yep, likewise.
So, yeah, so that was really exciting. Okay, so let's take a look at them.
Sure.
All right, here is the pack. For anyone who hasn't been on ePack yet, these release every Wednesday. This is a Wednesday release. No,
Yeah,
Thursday.
Thursday. Excuse
Thursday.
me, Thursday.
Thursday at noon Pacific time, which everyone knows I like to refer to as real time. So that's 12 Pacific.
Spoken like a true Californian.
So there are limited to 5,000. So I think so far it's been like within 3 hours it's selling out somewhere
Yeah, I
around
think
there.
about 2.5 to 3 hours is the sellout for the last two.
Okay, but I have a feeling, no offense to Ian and his movie posters, but I have a
He's gonna
feeling
love that.
this is going to be the week.
For what it's worth, so do I.
Yeah, yeah. So make sure you're on there. But there are, like we mentioned previously, you can trade on ePack. It's
Hmm.
super easy. You can come over to DCCW and you can trade there, or you can reach out to anybody in the group, myself, probably even TJ, if you want an overview of how ePack works. Don't we don't want anyone to feel left out just because you don't quite get the flow.
Yeah,
It's
me and a
super free.
handful of the gang here at Upper Deck are in the group. So, any questions that we're able to ask, just ask us.
Awesome. You'll regret saying that.
I already do.
All right, so these are not in order.
No.
I was initially like poking around and trying to put them in order of, I can't say least favorite to, so it's like favorite to most favorite, I guess.
Yeah.
It's tough. So you guys, spoiler alert, I guess, went with
Hmm.
Brian Bolland for
Yes.
the art here.
Brian Bolland is probably in my top five favorite artists in all of comics. I think He's one of the most influential artists of the last 40 years. And it's amazing because he's one of those guys where, aside from the work that he did in England, when you think of him in American comics, it is almost specifically nothing but DC.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman
Wonder
covers, the
Woman. Yeah.
Robin covers, the Flash covers, Green Lantern, all the stuff that he's ever done. But then when you really get down to the core of what he's done with Batman, again, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah. Like I would consider him an iconic, specifically Joker artist. Like for
For sure.
me. Yeah.
For sure.
So we start out with Bane,
Yep.
our must
Looks
leave
great.
Venom pumped Bane.
Yep.
All right.
And that one,
Whoops.
well, all of these except for one of them all come from the variant covers.
It's like the One
No,
Bad Day,
rather
right?
two of them. Yeah, all come from Batman One Bad Day. So
That's what I
it's very
thought.
cool to get that Bane in there.
Yeah, I really like that. And okay, so I love this body horror version
Yeah.
of the Clayface here.
One of my favorite movies ever is The Thing.
Yes.
And this totally gives me like John Carpenter doing a
Yeah.
Batman movie vibes. So that Clayface is it's out of control.
Yeah, this is I always feel a little bad for any mud pack related characters.
Uh
This that makes
the
me kind
the
of
the
sad.
tragedy that comes with it,
Yeah.
for sure.
None of these Bat villains ever start out like this just seems like fun.
Sure. I mean, like, we talk about it all the time. There are some villains that I feel sympathy for in the same way that I feel sympathy for Batman and Robin, and then there's a handful of others where it's like, no, you're just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
There was never any
There was
sympathy.
no redeeming quality for you at all.
Exactly.
All right, so then we go into oh, speaking of redeeming qualities and sympathy,
Yep.
Mr. Freeze is
My favorite
frequently
Batman villain.
he's frequently one of those villains that people have the feels for.
It's so cool though too because almost everybody who has worked on Mr. Freeze post Batman the Animated Series always pulls from that design from the show. And it's so cool because obviously what Brian Bolland is doing here with the red goggles and just kind of that like bigger suit and all that, it's clearly pulling from that in some ways. And I love that because Mike Mignola designed that suit for the cartoon. So you're going from one
I
modern
didn't know
master
that.
to another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I,
he's
I
another
love this piece.
outstanding artist.
Yeah.
All right, so then we have a classic Riddler. I was very happy to see this version.
Yeah, I'm always like I love Riddler and like the tights, but I'm always a sucker for the suit and tie and
Yeah.
the bowler. And Brian one unsurprisingly sticks the landing here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the only person I could and I see I can't help but do this, but I love a Matt Wagner Riddler.
Oh, totally,
Love.
absolutely. I like Matt Wagner anything.
Yeah,
So
this is
yeah.
true. That's right. I could lie to everyone and say card 11 was going to be Grendel, but it's
Oh man,
not.
next you're gonna say Mage.
No, I'm definitely Grendel.
I love it.
All right, let's see. We've got a Catwoman here.
So good. Another one where Brian's very clearly doing his take on it, but then there's some influence with the Michelle Pfeiffer costume.
Mhm.
And it's just, he's one of those guys who's so good. Like, there was a quote from David Mazzucchelli, and I don't remember it completely offhand, but it was basically about when you make superheroes too realistic, you lose the fantasy of them being able to exist. And Brian Bolland is so good at living in the middle of fantasy and reality with his work. And this is another example of that.
Yeah, and I think I know you did touch on it with Ian, but the border for this card, you guys knocked it out of the park on that.
Thank you. This seems to be kind of a shared consensus with everybody is the card design, the frame that we came up with. No matter what you like about Gotham City, when you get past the dirty stuff and you get to like all that like Art Deco beauty and it's like trapped in a moment, I was so glad we were able to get to use that.
Yeah, I think that really helps the card stand out. And it's thematically like perfection.
Hmm.
All right,
Speaking of,
we have Mr. Popular.
oh, so good.
I still haven't watched it.
You have to. It's amazing. It is one of those shows that messes with you emotionally, and the Penguin isn't a character that's easy to like, and they find ways to make you like him, and it's a whole roller coaster of insane emotions, like I said to Ian last week, but it's absolutely worth your time. But what's great here on the One Bad Day cover is, you get that like kind of classic Jack Burnley Penguin feel. The nose is there and the monocle and all that
Hmm.
stuff is great, but like it's not there's nothing about it that looks like kind of silly and jovial. He looks like a scumbag, and
Right.
like
He's like
that's awesome.
a mean Meredith Burgess.
Yes, yeah. So I love it.
All right. Then we come into Two-Face, who's one of my favorites.
So good. Two-Face is one of those characters, in my opinion, where no matter who your favorite Batman villain is, and I know thematically this is perfect, Two-Face is almost always everybody's number two. And I love that for the character, number one. But again, number two, you talk about the great Batman villains are always the ones that have some tragedy to them, and you as the reader get to have that sympathy. But what's great about Two Face more than anything is he's the only one of Batman's villains who had the same mission that
Right.
Batman did. And so to lose someone like that, that's that heartbreak there. And no matter who else has come in, bringing in, Robin, and then, eventually growing into Nightwing and then Batgirl and all that, there was something about someone who wasn't a cop or wasn't putting on capes and tights who had that same crusade that they did. And to lose him the way they do, it makes the character even better.
Yeah. And sometimes he's one of those characters that's like where you are find yourself thinking, but is he wrong?
That's the hard part, you know. But I also love you thinking that. I love that for Two Face, he knows no matter if he believes he's right or wrong, that's not up to him. It's only up to chance,
Yeah.
and that's what makes that great.
All right. Then we have Ivy.
So good.
Okay, I love this one, and
Hmm.
I suspect this one's going to be divisive
Be-
because
I think.
people want your seductress version
Yep.
of Ivy. I see Ivy more as someone who probably wouldn't even hold a conversation with you. Like she's insane.
So I love this because it does change everybody's or it I don't want to say it changes, it kind of cuts into everybody's expectation of what Poison Ivy was going to look like on the cards. Everybody wants, the beautiful, the sexy, the
The
seductive, all of
attitude,
these things.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I understand why, because she is all of those things. But there's something about this image, and it brings me back. There's a cover of Gotham Knights from like the early 2000s, and it's, her holding Robin after she's poisoned him and Batman's trying to save him. And even in there, it's that kind of like unbridled sort of glee that she gets out of what she does. And I don't know. I think that this cover was a slam dunk. And while this card is going to elicit conversation, it's kind of like I said last week about Batman and Robin. Incidentally, Poison Ivy as well. I want to see the audience have conversation about what we're doing because that's what makes this fun.
yeah. No, I love this one. She is unwell,
Yeah.
and she
Oh, for
looks
sure.
unwell here, so I
Hmm.
appreciate that. All right, so the next one is my sister's favorite villain,
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul.
So he was another one that I was glad that we were able to get in here. When you think Rachel Ghoul, you think Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams,
Hmm.
but then for a completely different generation, you think Batman the Animated Series, and you hear David Warner's voice, and it's so funny because they adapt those Demon's Head stories from 1970, 1971, and both generations are correct. It's those stories make this villain so rad, so cool, and I mean, how could we do a top 10 and not have him in there?
Oh no, he has to be. Yeah, yeah, he's a lock. He's
Hmm.
absolutely a lock, and of course the next one is a lock. You have to have the Joker. Specifically, if you're doing Brian Bolland, you have to have the
Yeah.
Joker.
So I like that we went with the cover to Joker's Last Laugh, issue
Hmm.
1, as opposed to using the Killing Joke or anything else that, no disrespect intended to it, but you've seen so many times.
Right.
It was different for us to not use any of the purple on him other than that like sort of muted purple on his tie. It just it just works for me. The smile is all that matters. That's all I care about. And it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. There's really not a whole lot, not a whole lot to say about this one.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm gonna be so excited when people rip their packs open and they get this. It's gonna be so cool.
Okay. So, as a deep cut guy, who did you have to leave out that bummed you out the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. I really, really wanted to see the Mad Hatter in here. Mad Hatter is one of those characters where he has such a perfect visual that it's so hard for me to not put him in this. But at the same time, like, if I don't put Mad Hatter, like if I put Mad Hatter in, right, and then it's, well, where's Harley Quinn? Or,
Right.
where is, gosh, I mean, you know, Killer Moth, there's so many fun characters that uh could have made it in here, but it's like, are they the top 10?
Yeah. No, it's tough. Like we don't know who. So, going back to the achievements, so we've had
Yes.
Catwoman and Robin.
Yep.
We know that Batman is like the overarching
Yes.
achievement. So we have three more, and we don't know who they are.
I do. I will say this, you guys will, I think everybody's going to really like the achievement this week.
Okay,
That's all I can
that's
say.
all you. I know. I don't want to push it, but like for here, I would have. I was a little disappointed not to see Scarecrow.
See, he's another one I would have liked as well, but
I'm a big Killer Croc fan.
I like Killer Croc. I wouldn't put him top 10,
No, I wouldn't either. But
you know.
that's where you talk about, like you mentioned, that you have to make that judgment call. Like the sets aren't for you. The sets are for everybody.
Yes.
So you can't, because like I would have like Court of Owls in there. I would
See,
have
I
Hugo
wouldn't put Court of Owls in
Strange.
the Hugo Strange I like. I wouldn't say he's top 10, but
See, I think there's something with me where I like the Z-listers.
sure, sure. Well, that means next time we'll have to do like the bottom 10, cuz then
Oh,
you can do Condiment King, and you can
yes.
do Crazy Quilt, and you can do Kite Man, hell yeah, and you can do all these.
Is Anarchy still a thing? Does he
uh,
still?
hey, look, as a Robin fan, I love Anarchy. So like I have to. Like that's by law.
Firefly?
Firefly
I
I would
mean,
throw in
it's
there, Killer Moth I would.
the list is
Oh yeah.
insanely long.
And that's the thing. There are more lame and mediocre villains than there are amazing Batman villains. But that's why the top 10 is so good,
Yeah.
because they have to be the cream of the crop. And
Oh, Professor
I
Pig.
see Professor Pig is a solid one right there. It's
He
probably the
creeps me
best.
out though. He's creepy.
Well, it's Grant Morrison just doing
Yeah.
Saw in Batman. So like that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's there are man, I guess you could say somewhere that there are about like 5 to 7 that are concrete the best, and then everything else is all subjective.
Yeah. But just like the quality of what's subjective is amazing,
Absolutely.
which I guess goes to just partly why Batman's such an icon.
See, I would have put Deathstroke in there only because to me
Oh
he's a Nightwing
yeah.
villain, not a Batman villain. But that one would get vetoed.
I'm starting to feel like you're skewed very Titans.
I'm a sidekick guy.
Okay.
I love the Titans for sure. You'll see a lot of that in DC Annual and couple surprises in Metal Universe Batman. So I just I love Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but the DC universe, there's more to it than just the three of them.
Right.
And it's even cooler when you get to kind of dovetail off of the three of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for me, reading wise, it's Batman And then for me, it's a lot of the Vertigo titles like Hellblazer,
Right on.
Sandman. So, but this is still hugely exciting. And you touched on Annual. You opened
Yes,
that. You opened
I
that
did. That's my
box.
fault. That's my fault.
And you touched on Metal.
Yes,
So I would like to point out to everybody who is new to EPAC who hasn't picked up on this yet that the achievement cards are promo cards from Metal.
that is correct.
And I was
Those are gonna. Oh
nope.
no,
Oh,
you please.
I was just gonna say I'm very excited. Tell me if I heard this correctly. So this Adam Hughes Catwoman will not be reused in the Metal set.
Nope. Neither will that Tom Grummett Robin.
Okay. All
All
right.
of the images for the Metal Universe Batman preview cards that are the achievements for weekly, all of those are exclusive to weekly. They will not be used anywhere else.
That is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm very very excited about that. We weren't able to talk about it previously because we didn't know that the Robin was going to be the achievement card until everything went live. But that was Robin issue 0, and I specifically wanted that one just because it's a favorite story of mine. It's a favorite Robin story, but it's also a favorite Two-Face story. So I was very excited that we were able to use that cover.
That's very exciting that it's original because I just assumed a preview card we were going to see it again in the base set. So that's
Nope.
exciting.
No, we want everything to feel special for you guys. We want everything to feel like it matters, like there's thought going into it. So for all, I will tell you this: all of the artwork that I chose for each character in the achievements, all of it was artists that are specific to those characters.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me because
That I thought was
that's
really cool.
yeah, because that's interesting. Okay, now per usual, because Upper Deck has given me an inch and I will now take a mile. Not for this recording, but I would love to have you on again to hear about how the art selection works if they would allow you at
Yeah,
some point to do that because I
I'm
think
I'm sure.
that's something everyone's very interested in, like, maybe not get completely into the weeds, but we're
Hmm.
all really excited to see a little bit behind the scenes because I'm very excited that you said the artists are matched with the character.
Yeah, I'm very. It's the comic book fan in me. I'm very particular about certain things. So, it's kind of like everyone's going to have a favorite Batman artist or a favorite Superman artist. But when
Right.
I visualize Booster Gold, it's Dan Jurgens all the time. So it's kind of that sort of thing where I always try to make sure that certain characters get matched. Then, there are things where we have to make sure that, if it's something that DC wants, because, again, what the licensor wants, the licensor is going to get,
Right.
but it all feeds naturally into what we're building. So I honestly think everyone's going to be really happy coming away from it.
Ugh, I'm already stupid. I was stupid excited before this, and now I'm like, sorry, Instagram, you guys are just gonna have to hear about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, DC Annual. So, is that going to be the first full release that we see from Upper Deck for DC?
DC Annual is going to be the first physical release from us at Upper Deck. That'll be early next year. That that was the first set that I got to work on, and it's probably the one that I put more heart and soul into than I had ever thought I would be able to. There are characters that are in there where I'm hoping that people are as excited as I am that they're getting their card in there. But what I love the most about DC Annual is there are so many characters in there, like Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, all that, where Annual is their first Upper Deck card.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is it's really exciting because Annual is one of those sets that I think is super super rad, but it doesn't always see like the intense love that other sets do. But I really hope that people like really go out in droves to get it because again, everyone's excited for the upcoming Superman film. Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl are all in that movie, and all of their first Upper Deck cards are an Annual. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I think Annual's always for every license has been one of my favorites. It's to me, it's like a yearbook of the year for those characters of like what
Yeah.
happened in that universe. And I love so we're gonna get like okay, you probably can't say for sure, but I'm assuming we'll get like, Pack Wars and we'll get our EPAC parallels down the road.
There will be things happening.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be way cool. I think 2023 was a really really cool year for DC, and it's so nice for us to be able to kind of celebrate 2023, what with Dawn of DC happening, and a lot of readers kind of coming back, readers who were already there continuing on, and just seeing these characters get to move forward and still kind of see them as they were, like these more classic takes on the DC universe. So us getting to celebrate that in the set, I think, was way cool.
I was excited to see the Bullet logo come back. I'm like, oh,
Man,
am I
I
such a nerd?
no, I jumped out of my chair when the DC Bullet was announced. So I was very excited for that. It's the best logo in comics.
So you guys, and I'm trying to ask questions that won't get you the hook from Billy over there.
Oh, Billy's always watching me, man. He's always giving me
He's on it.
the what for.
So you guys will this will be like a publishing and entertainment split?
Yep,
Like you
that's
guys will have
correct.
you guys will have both.
Hmm.
So what about, does that include the animated?
That sure does. So yeah, week 4 is all Batman animated.
I did see that. I was excited for Phantasm.
It's the best Batman movie of all time, like
Yeah.
100%. But there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the future with us in DC, is all I can say.
Okay. I'll accept that. I am very
But it's
excited
going to
by
be way
that.
cool.
I'm excited by that. All right. So I think that's all I'm going to get out of you that's not going to wreck the rest of your afternoon, have you end up in HR.
It'll be for pranks. It won't be for this.
Okay. All right. Well, if you prank somebody, can you prank Celio on your way back to wherever you're?
I'm always happy to prank him. Absolutely.
He's so grumpy. It's like super easy to set him off.
He's the grumpiest. He
Yeah.
messes with all of us enough. I'm happy to get him. I'll do it for the other Billy.
That would be fantastic. So for anybody again who is new, this is going to be this coming up week 3 of the 85th anniversary Batman set. There
Yep.
are 5 weeks total. And for anyone who hasn't looked at the checklist, we did spoil a little bit for next week, but the checklist is out there. It's on the EPAC website, so you can take a look. And it's really nice. The website will show you which ones you're missing or which ones you have. So again, it's Thursday. I don't know why I want it to be Wednesday.
Because Wednesday's New Comic Book Day.
Maybe that's what it is.
I think your brain is
Thursdays.
going to that. Hmm.
Thursdays at noon, limited to 5,000 packs. But again, you have like a 3-hour window, so don't lollygag if you want to. Because there are plates. I forgot to mention this. I'm a sucker for plates.
It's been so cool seeing people get the plates. I'm always blown away by that. Like,
There are plate hits, and there are parallels that are numbered out of 85 for every
yep,
card.
that 89 Batman plate that someone got last week, it was
Oh
one of
my,
those rare times I was jealous.
yeah, I saw that. And the price I thought was really low.
Hmm.
I thought, oh my God, I missed out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like gorgeous plate. So see now I'm going to wander off into plates. So I got to stop because I know you have a meeting. So, but thanks again
Sure.
in the time, and I will definitely be harassing you to come on again.
For sure.
And I really appreciate all the attention you guys have already given to the DC Collectors Worldwide Facebook group. And popping in there and talking Tony Harris with us already was nice. So hopefully the more stuff we get going in there, the more we can call on you guys.
No, any way that we're able to kind of keep the community alive and effervescent, as it were, we're always happy to be a part of that. And we have as much fun doing this as you guys have purchasing. So I'm just glad that we all get to share it together.
Awesome. Thank you.
My
We'll
pleasure. Thanks a lot,
see
Amanda.
you week 4.